way to the right. What can the city of Gainesville do to promote or spur more small business?
So for a small business, we can look at the regulations and we can look at the requirements that are necessary to do business. The time frames it takes for permitting to get through, the efficiencies down in city government are not good. We've got to promote a pro-business environment. We have to know the employees need to know that they're serving the businesses. We're trying to tell people what they can do with their land. We're trying to tell people how much they can build, when they can build, how they can build. You know, I know in my business, if I just got a decision quicker, that could be the difference between a sale and not making a sale. So we have these meetings, and we fly people in, and the decisions aren't made. And a lot of our business, when you say small business, a lot of small business is created by the larger businesses. The larger businesses bring it in, bring in the employees, and then the service businesses come in from there. So the Innovation Gainesville and the push in creating new jobs and new companies, growing existing companies, and bringing in outside companies, we can change the mindset down at City Hall and have companies like a Merck come in and say, that's a great place for an R&D facility, here's 300 employees because it's a great place to live as well.
James Engel, District 2. I think this is really kind of the focus of what I'd like to see change in Gainesville. I mentioned before, what we really lack is good, decent jobs for people. I would really like to see the city kind of reinvest the money we spend and make sure that it is spent inside the city. I would like to see any kind of contracts the city puts out, any kind of capital improvements, making sure that the jobs created by that goes to city residents. You know, I don't think we just need to promote business. I think we need to promote local business and responsible business, putting it back into the city. You know, the idea of using a cheaper contractor or a cheaper service to save a little bit of money now, but have that money leave our local economy, I think is short-sighted. And I think that the city needs to look at every dollar we spend as an investment and make sure we're getting the most out of that investment. Thank you.
Well, I like to quote Ronald Reagan when he said that if you want to be a friend of jobs, you have to be a friend of business. And one great example of Gainesville's attitude towards business is the biotech industry. We've got Shands, a research hospital right here, and the vast majority of the biotech companies that service them are all set up in Alachua. Now, why do you think that is? It's because Gainesville has a very unfriendly attitude towards business, and if we want to see business grow, the best thing the government can do is get out of their way. Get out of their way with the taxes, streamline permitting processes, don't bog them down. It seems to me like the permitting processes are intentionally designed to be as slow as possible. You take a look at how long it's taken them to approve the Walmart process on the northwest side of town. It's going to create so many jobs for that area, and that's where I'm campaigning at, and I've talked to people, and pretty much everyone that I've talked to wants it, yet the City Commission puts it under a microscope and draws it out as long as it possibly can. And it just doesn't have to be that way. And that's what we've got to change if we want to see more business growth in Gainesville. Thank you.
Thank goodness the question got asked, because I thought I was going to go through a whole chamber event and not be able to talk about Innovation Gainesville. That would be unconscionable. Let me just suggest a couple of things. First of all, one way that we grow the business climate here is by partnering with everybody. For the first time, and as long as I can remember, everybody has finally come out of their silos. And the city is working with the chamber and the city are working with UF and Santa Fe, and we're all approaching this thing as a group instead of individually. That's important. What has the city done? Well, we created a small business loan program to help small businesses here in Gainesville grow their business that are not able to get traditional financing. We created a seed fund for people to take their innovative ideas, grow them into an idea that they can take to market and bridge that very difficult gap where, again, it's very difficult for business to get financing. We've also created a business industrial zoning district that is much more flexible for folks that want to start up. I think Exhale Technologies is one of the first businesses to take advantage of that. So the city is doing our part right now.
We're going to continue with this question and work our way down. Sure. What can the city of Gainesville do to promote or spur more small business? Again, please identify your district.
Ozzy Gould, running for District 3. Well, again, I definitely think that the first step we need to do is to get more of our community involved. speak to local business owners, speak to managers, people that work in the city, and see what ideas they have to stimulate our economy, promote more job growth. And then we have to take a look at where our city is preventing this, because I understand the perception. I've heard it many times and from people that I've spoken to on a daily basis that the city is too business unfriendly. It hasn't been my personal case, but perception is reality, and that's a concern to me. So I want to make sure that I'm addressing these concerns and making sure that the city isn't being a hindrance to our business owners or our residents, because that's not the role of government. We need to be more supportive. I'm going to make sure that we are.
Susan Botcher, District 3. There's always room for streamlining. There's always room for making things more efficient. And the best way to do that is when all the parties come together to achieve the same goal with an absence of animosity. When the idea is perpetuated, Gainesville, the city of Gainesville hates businesses, anti-businesses, anti-this, anti-that. You know, you're going into that whole process with a chip on your shoulder, and that means that the people in the city, they've got a chip on their shoulder. We definitely have to kind of change the way we approach this. I think the city has done marvelously over the last several years, as I stated earlier, with Innovation Gainesville, Momentum 2015, and all the wonderful things that are coming down the pike right now. I think we have a lot to be optimistic about. I think the city is coming around. We're not there yet. But let's keep working together, and I think that we're going to see some wonderful things turning around in Gainesville in a very short time.
Jimmy Harsberger, District 3. I agree with some of the previous comments concerning how we handle business license fees and going through the process down at the Thomas Center. I wouldn't call it anti-business. I would certainly say it could be improved upon. We could see greater professionalism from our city staff, and I think that starts at the top. I think with strong leadership from the commission, strong direction to the top of city management, we'll see better performance further down the ranks. As I mentioned before, I think we could be focusing some of our redevelopment funds on infrastructure improvements, which really create the backdrop and the necessary tools to allow small business, which starts up with less capital, to get a real foothold. And then we need to make sure we don't increase our burdens on local businesses from the way we conduct our taxes, fees, and the way we spend our public's money.
Rob Zeller, District 3. Since the philosophy that our country is founded upon is capitalism, I basically think that government needs to get out of the way so the people in this room can create jobs and better our community and help us get through this difficult economic times. Thank you.
Thomas Hawkins, at large too. We've heard from a lot of candidates that the thing to do is just take the rule book and cut it in half. And I want to add a dose of reality to this conversation. Because the reason that Gainesville has a great quality of life is because we have rules that protect our quality of life and make sure that the new development we have is the kind of development we want. And that needs to continue. But at the same time, we absolutely do have a responsibility to make sure our regulations are not an impediment to business. And I want to give you 2 examples of how we're working on this problem. Thursday night, the Chamber of Commerce, one of the 3 organizations that's hosting this event, gave the City of Gainesville's Community Redevelopment Agency an Innovation Award because we readopted a new zoning code for the University Heights neighborhood so that we would have rules there that made sense for an innovation economy and for having a high quality of life. And you don't get that by tearing rules in half and throwing them away. It takes a lot of hard work. And I'll give another example of how we're engaging in that hard work in another process. I created something called the Community Development Review Committee, essentially a task force. Our chairman is sitting out in the audience to help us reform our process.
Don Marsh, at large too. You can repeat the question. That was a long answer there.
Sure. What can the city of Gainesville do to promote or spur more small business?
Okay, thank you very much. I think that probably reducing or deferring fees, anything that lowers the barrier of entry. I think that if the government had known how big a boom that the internet was going to be, they would have been charging us $200 permitting fee to build a website, and you would have just completely killed the whole thing right there. So yes, getting out of the way is very important. But you know, there are some things that touch every part of our lives, especially our business. I'm surprised I haven't heard anything at all about the biomass plant so far. Our quality of life and our standard of living are going to be teetering on the edge of disaster if that thing gets built. That's a 30-year generational error. That's how long the commitment is, the contract we have. 30-year contract for that tree burning plant. And it will affect us all. It will affect all of our business and our quality of life. Thank you.
Richard Sutwack at large. The city is the hindrance to growth. The city needs to get smaller and have a sustainable budget. We really need to fix the pension liability problem that we're having. I don't want to buy any real estate, and I don't want to start any new businesses because the taxes are killing me. Now, if my taxes weren't killing me, then, you know, I would go ahead and develop some property or create new jobs, or purchase more real estate. But because the taxes are so great, I don't want to do anything. So it's all about the money, and we have other problems like the school board. Parents need to be paying their fair share for their children in school, and it's not working. A lot of things aren't working, and we need to work together and find solutions. Thank you.